time to start. Enjoy the show.
Welcome in everyone to Betting Weekly Live. It is Friday, the 12th of September. I've already had a better intro than yesterday when I was muted. Welcome in everyone. You're with Steve Wyss Jack with Wright. We've seen quite a bit of each other recently, Jack. The last live show we did was sensational. So let's hope for the same again.
Well, let's hope so. Yeah, you were sensational. I just kind of was on your coattails, to be fair, tagging along a little bit, but you just went wild, and we could tell because of how you set it up. That was
you're too modest.
Everything.
You had several winners yourself on that show. I'm not having it, Jack. I'm not having it.
No.
I just did what was right in front of me, and thankfully the players delivered. 11-1 Norway. It was one of my best results of the year. Not going to lie.
Yeah.
Whatsoever.
I would have been disappointed if they'd have won 11-1 and Haaland hadn't got a brace in that one, but he managed to more than come to the party as well. So yeah, it was one that went perfectly to plan, didn't it? We were texting each other, we couldn't believe it kept going. It was like every 10 minutes another goal went in. It was brilliant. We love those.
The thing was, I do feel sorry for Winter Nil backers, but I was quite pleased that Moldova scored because I was considering laddering the correct score 6-0 through to like 8-0.
Yeah.
It wouldn't have been enough anyway, would it? But at the time, I was thinking, damn, I'm missing out here. So Moldova's goal actually did kind of please me in a way, but you got to feel for Winter Nil backers, haven't you, as well? That mixture. That's the way it goes.
It's the nature of the beast, unfortunately. Winter Nil, both seem to score no unders. When you're on that, you know that you're sometimes going to get a real rough and tough beat. But yeah, as I say, we look to come out of it more often than not on the right side. So here we go.
Welcome in everyone. Leslie, Rick, Barak as well, Peter, Paul, Duncan Evans, Real Brendan King. We'll talk about the betting too at some point during this show. Mike, Steve from Lynn as well. Ray Burke, always good to see you. Duncan says, hopefully more winners today. The kids need to eat. Absolutely. We're going to keep people
no pressure.
with bread on the table. We absolutely are going to be doing that. And, it's good to have the main leagues back. We're going to be talking La Liga, French League, Bundesliga, an interesting clash. We're also going to go a little bit off piece today with action in Norway, in Denmark, in Portugal as well. We've been clamoring for some Portugal content, and we're finally going to deliver some today. But before all that, and for anyone watching live or on demand, do sign up to the Betting Weekly newsletter. The Insider will be released into your inbox at some point in the next probably couple of hours, I think. So if you've not already, sign up for free. I'm sure most of you have already done it, but just as a reminder there. And a new look insider in terms of the format of the picks. We're going to be having really strong official selections from now on in, but every Premier League match will be covered in addition to some other Euro games. And whilst I'm just talking about the Premier League, actually, a notable house specialist, an EPL second chance token, players who opt in on the BetRivers app will receive 2 Premier League second chance tokens for Premier League parlays. And if a player loses the wager where a second chance token is applied, they'll receive a bonus bet equal to their stake. So that's a Premier League second chance token on the house specials, which you must take advantage of. Blinker got straight in with a bet over 3.25 Asian Leverkusen against Frankfurt. Hoping to get some winners before again we start the action today. Some excellent high stake wagers yesterday on the sportsbook for the bettors. $70,000 on the Packers, -3 against the Commanders. 28,000 nearly on the Mariners, a -1 run line. That's another winner. Orioles -1, $25,000, another winner. Phillies -1 on the run line, $25,000, another winner. So the winners were absolutely piling in yesterday. Hopefully the same again today. Where are we going to start? We're going to start in France, actually.
Okay.
Marseille against Lorient to kick things off. And I'll be honest, I think Marseille will be slightly disappointed that this match is on a Friday evening. You're kind of drawing the short straw, if you know what I mean, Jack, when you get this after an international break. It's not what you want. I do think Marseille, what you've got to remember here, this is a team that was projected to finish second pre-season against the second favourite for relegation. So out of 10 times, you would expect Marseille to beat Lorient at home, probably a minimum 8 times out of 10, probably 9. In which instance, probably the most sensible bet is on the Asian handicap, minus 1.25. But I'm always a bit wary backing teams after an international break that have had quite a lot of absences. 10 players on duty for Marseille. And I think they'd rather this match was on a Sunday. So this is not a major play for me. And I'm not going to do a minus 1.5 because that is a handicap that always catches me out, Jack. I'd rather go minus 1.75 than 1.5. But minus 1.25 on Marseille. Lorient, if you look back at their results, they lost against Auxerre week 1. They got absolutely smoked 7-1 by Lille. And they beat they beat Rennes 3-0. But that match should be just scrapped from the records because Rennes were down 9 men after 11 minutes. Now, if you can't beat 9 men after 11 minutes, you're never going to beat anyone. So we can't take anything from that game, can we really? They take the 3 points, but as bettors, we can't. So I would, I'm going to nibble Marseille here, minus 1.25, Jack. But I just am wary Friday night after international break.
Yes. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. And we did take nothing from that. We lost money, didn't we? Because we were obviously riding that one. That was a James pick on the show and two red cards. You can't legislate for that. This is the sort of thing we talk about. What can you do? Like I say, it's out of your control when that happens. But just got a quick question for you on this one, Steve, before I just give my lean on this game. Real Madrid away is as well to factor in for Marseille in the Champions League.
Yes. The thing with Marseille is they've got such a bad record in the Champions League. And I think according to the, I'll see if I can find the tweet on I saw yesterday. Someone's ranked the scheduling easiest to hardest of the teams in the Champions League. It might be complete BS, to be honest, but I think Marseille had the 4th hardest schedule. So again, the gods haven't been kind, have they, to Marseille in the Champions League? And at the moment, I can't see them getting anywhere near Real Madrid, but it is a match on the horizon that might be in the head.
Yeah, and I think sometimes it's the players as much as like generically as a club, isn't it? Obviously, the players form the club itself, but sometimes those players are thinking, "Oh, I've got the away at Real Madrid next up." It's the one that you want to be a part of in the Champions League. And do you get yourself motivated for a Lorient at home, as you say, having flown all around the world representing the country? So this one's sandwiched in between a massive kind of kudos fixtures. And I've kind of played that a little part as far as my bet for this one is concerned. Again, it's a little bit different. I've got a couple of little different goals angles for today's show. And this is one. This is over 1.5 total goals by Marseille in the second half. I ideally wanted to just spread it across the board and go over 1.5 total goals full stop. But I feel that we need Marseille to sort of come and do the heavy lifting in this one anyway. And we're getting plus money in that respect. So it's, plus 130 for this one. Obviously, they've got a great record against Lorient, unbeaten in the last 12 head-to-heads. They won 9 of them as well. They've also won the last 5 consecutive meetings here when playing on home soil. And I just looked at the goal side of things. You look at Lorient. Obviously, this is heavily skewed by the fact there was 8 goals in the second half of that game against Lille. But obviously, they conceded 7 at that point in time. But 12 of their 13 goals conceded this season have come in the second half. And I also think, and this is going on, I'm not going to take credit for this too much, but obviously Nigel talks about this quite a lot on the Premier League show regarding any sport, is once you've taken a drub, and now, of course, there's been a 2-week gap since that, but it's obviously still going to be part of the process for this side going into this match. They tend to want to try and keep it very, very tight early on. So my thought process is they're going to look to try and keep it tight, keep Marseille a little bit frustrated, and Marseille will have to kick on in the second half. Marseille scored 2 or more goals in the second half of 8 of their last 13 league home games, including their only one this season. And as I said, Lorient obviously conceded 7 last time out. They were in the second tier last season, weren't they? So I won't draw too much on that. And obviously they did well in it. So we'll rule that out. But yeah, I thought that was a different angle and supported by stats, and also a little bit on how I think the game's going to pan out tonight as well. So yeah, over 1.5 Marseille second half goals to get a plus money on our side and a Marseille angle of attack.
Yeah, I mean, it must be noted as well, Lorient do have quite a few injuries for the game. This has been something that's been a problem for them all season, really. You know, I'm familiar with the manager. And this manager is not someone who would normally show much caution to the wind, really. And after losing 7-1, I reckon the priority for Lorient is probably just don't get embarrassed. And that is maybe why Marseille win to 0 could be something. I've just looked, it's plus 116 with Bet Rivers. That could be something to look at, because I'm just not really sure Lorient will offer much in the game because of the fear of getting exposed. And it could actually be the sort of game first half is tight, to be honest, where Marseille are finding a bit of rhythm up against a tough team to break down. And then second half, they do what's needed to be done. So 2-0, 3-0 is the sort of scoreline I'm thinking about. I mean, the more I think about it, really, Marseille minus 1.25 should be a more confident pick, just because of how bad Lorient are.
Yeah.
So that would be where I'd be going. You like them team total goals for Marseille?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And,
the total goals were slightly over, and as we've said, we fancy Marseille to do the heavy lifting in this one anyway. And so I thought to go from where it was, which was like minus 140, to go just Marseille at plus 130. It was a sizable jump, and one that I liked the look of.
Marseille have won 9 of the last 10 Ligue 1 matches against Lorient, thanks to producer Troy for that stat. 96% of the money's on Marseille. Just 65% of the over and under money is on the over, which surprises me a little bit. But we've got a goal line here, which is sort of between, well, on Asian terms, it's about 3.25. So it's quite a high goal line. So I can see why there's not huge money for that over there. Let's go into the chat here. Abra Afnan Sajib, welcome in. He says over 3.5 goals in the Marseille game. That's at plus 125 right now. I mean, you could see it. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that at all. And Byron absolutely crushed that Green Bay game last night. There was a lot of love for the Packers in chat on yesterday's show, actually, Jack, and they delivered. It should have been by a bigger margin, but I didn't watch it. I was sleeping actually last night. Unlike Sunday night. I watched the Ravens game on Sunday night. I was up to like 5 a.m. over here. But a big day ahead. An exhausting recording day yesterday. So I had to get some beauty sleep in.
And it's worked, Steve. I've got to say, it's worked. Instant. Know what I mean?
We're going to move on to the Bundesliga, right? Leverkusen against Frankfurt. I'm going to let you have the floor here, because I don't have a bet in the game. And I know there's a lot of interest in this game. I had a couple of questions about it on X, on DM, and because I know I've been opposing Bayer Leverkusen all season so far. But the reason I was opposing them was because Erik ten Hag was in charge. And I knew, I said it, I didn't think it was going to work out. I didn't expect him to be gone after 2 games. Sacked him. Incredible. He's a record in the Bundesliga, isn't it? Along those lines.
It's tough to beat, isn't it?
Yeah. And so now we've got in the former Denmark manager, haven't we? Has taken the reins by Leverkusen. Had a great run at international level. Doesn't mean you're going to do it at club level. Plus 110 by Leverkusen against an Eintracht Frankfurt side that I really like. And if Ten Hag was still in charge, I would definitely bet Eintracht Frankfurt blind. But, after an international break, after a transfer window, I'm reluctant to get involved, Jack. So I'm interested to see what your angle is.
Well, yeah, again, I've gone a slightly different angle of attack, because like we mentioned this a couple of times on the show yesterday, that this time of year, you've got some questions that just you don't know the answer to. We've got how a team's going to react to the international break and players coming back from that. The key players, how fit are they? Have they picked up any injuries? What's the motivation like? Are they just generally tired? As you said, you've got the transfer window. You've got a lack of time on the training pitch, and now you throw into the fact that the home side have got a brand new manager. How are they going to react to that? Is it going to be just a general lift because of the fact that, by all accounts, no one likes Erik ten Hag? is it going to be a case, well, we're going to get more of the same because he's not had enough time on the training pitch to impact anything different? So he's going to kind of set him out there. Again, a Friday night is a real tough turnaround. We talked about like the Premier League games, that the worst case scenario for them is it's a Saturday lunchtime in the UK. But here they're looking at a Friday night. Some of these guys would have been coming back Wednesday, like maybe even Thursday morning. So this is an impossible task. So what's going to be different? So generally speaking, it's going to be one that you want to watch to see where, is there a difference? If I'm going to just have a bet on the outcome, I'd be sided with the more settled side, the side that's in better form. Like you'd say, if this was at Ten Hag, you'd go Eintracht Frankfurt effectively blind. I'd take Eintracht Frankfurt on some kind of plus handicap or on the Asian handicap if I'm playing that. But I've gone down a different route. I've gone for Asian first half total goals at 1.25. It's minus 122. There's been goals galore. Someone's already put up a bet in this one for the fact that they expect goals across the whole game. I've gone for a fast start. The last 3 meetings have seen 4, 2, and 3 goals in the first half, which would obviously crush this line easily in all aspects. Leverkusen this season, again, under a new manager, so that's the caveat to that. They've seen 2 and 3 goals in the first half of their 2 games. And Frankfurt have had 2 goals in both the first half of both their games. So all points towards that. And as I said, we've got to kind of wait to see what the new manager brings in and his setup and his style. But Leverkusen at home would suggest to me that against Frankfurt, I think we could see a similar style to what we would expect without any changes if this was happening in a normal time. So I'm going with that as my lean in this one, over 1.25 Asian total. First half minus 122. So obviously we get half our stake back if there's only 1 first half goal. We need 2 or more to cash it.
Leslie likes by Leverkusen here. Kevin, I'll come back to your comment when we talk about the championship. Byron likes Frankfurt team total over 1.5. And he thinks it's going to take the new manager more than 1 training session to get it together. Sam Rattlehead, Marseille money line and Leverkusen Frankfurt over 2.5 goals plus 109. Not the worst looking parlay, is it? That really, to be fair. Real Brandon King, Frankfurt draw no bet, but not full confidence because I'm guessing after what's happened with Leverkusen, but he's not worried about the new coach bounce yet. What I will say about the new manager, this is Kasper Hjulmand. Now, the last time he was in club management was 2019 with FC Nordsjælland in Denmark. 54 matches in charge of Denmark. Now, we all got very familiar with that team. They were the dark horse team, always labelled that way, got to the semi-final of the Euros, let us all down in the World Cup in Qatar. And then, 54 games. One thing I'll say is he's a great fit for this squad. Now, Erik ten Hag came in and, he tried to play effectively Xabi Alonso's system. But what is Erik ten Hag for me is more of a back. I mean, what did he play at Man United? What was his style? But I think that Man United team when they were better when they were like 4-3-3, the days that he played it. But this guy Hjulmand is very, very familiar with that 3-4-2-1. Really, really familiar. So take note, Nottingham Forest. This is a really, really good tactical fit for their new manager, unlike what Forest have done. This might be a better switchover from Alonso to sort of Hjulmand eventually. But how much time has he really had so far? Not a lot. A lot's going to be now on the players. Are the players up for the fight? Are they going to show us what they're capable of? Because on paper, it's still one of the best squads in Germany. So, he was
at Mainz as well, wasn't he? He was at Mainz.
Kasper Hjulmand. Yes, long time ago, I think. Yes, he was. Looking back now, 2014, he lasted 24 games at Mainz.
Yeah, not long. 10 draws in that. I noticed there was 10 ties in that game. So drew too many. I think he lost 9. He only won 5. So that's not good. But obviously, that's lots changed since then. So see what he does with this bunch.
A lot has.
Do people in the comments? I've seen it a couple of times. New manager bounce. It's one of those things that we mock a little bit and use it as a phrase. Do you guys in the comments? Do you believe in new manager bounce, or is it just like some work, some don't? Let us know. Would it put you off a bet?
I mean, I have a bit of a rule actually in terms of new managers, and I think if you know the manager really well, right, get stuck in straight away. Get on with your bets. Yeah. If you know his style, you know what he's going to do. If you're not sure about it, actually wait 4 or 5 games. because you can get yourself down that rabbit hole, as we call it. In this instance, I'm familiar with the manager, but not at club level. So
yeah,
I am very, very wary about what could happen. And so this is a good match to watch, isn't it? I think it could be a good match for in-play bets as well.
Yeah.
So do get watching the match. 83% of the money's on Leverkusen. Would you trust them? 83% of the money, 95% of the tickets are on Bayer Leverkusen. Not sure about that. Not sure I'll be having that. Not that many. There's money for the over. 87% of the tickets on the over. Into that.
That's a lot. Yeah, well, I agree, don't I? I think when you look at the history between the two, again, this is where we talked about this kind of thing on the betting Zoom. We're talking about do you go into head-to-head stats? Different managers, they're changing every season virtually for most of these sides now, aren't they? So how much can you read into that? It's but I would Well, the line though is. I'm
3.5, 3.25 in general. Yeah, it's a high line.
Looking for 4 goals,
and real Brandon King has asked. The totals tend to go over or unders after international breaks. I'm not sure. I'm not actually checked, but I think
that sounds like one for Dan Roebuck. I'm sure he's got a stat there somewhere that will tell us. Go on, Dan.
I think the offenses sometimes are disjointed after international breaks because the players haven't been with each other, but other teams. We're going to talk about the LaLiga game soon. Elche haven't had a single player on international duty, so it's
that must be pretty much the only side, surely, in the
three teams in LaLiga didn't have a senior international call-up. But normally it's something that will affect them, especially Leverkusen. Yeah, it is. Yeah. Anyway, you mentioned the betting zoo, Jack.
I did.
Episode number 2 of the betting zoo is now out, and you are the guest on the show. I'm going to link it actually in chat now, but just briefly tell the audience what it's about. We talked a lot about betting strategies, didn't we?
Yeah, we did. Yeah, we talked about obviously my history and how I got into betting and into sport, into betting as well. And we talked about the different betting strategies, about data, or is it the eye test? Is it a combination? We also said how much do you lean on that. Obviously, there's more and more coming to the fore on a pretty much daily, weekly basis. And also we talked about team news and the switch of a manager and such like. So how much weight do you put on the fact that a key player might be missing, or does the formation change? Or as with Leverkusen here, and as we'll see with Nottingham Forest tomorrow, you've got a new manager in. What are you going to do about it? And I will say that I mentioned about the offsides. You mentioned there, once you know a manager and a certain way he's playing, you go straight in. And I went straight in on the offsides for Forest, i.e. Arsenal getting offsides, and that were plus 137 for 2 or more. And they're now massive minus money. They're about minus 200 for that same line. So because obviously things have caught up, but you've got to move quick on that. If you trust something, move quick.
Yeah, I put the link on there for the betting zoo. Do check it out. Thanks for those who've watched it so far and put your comments on. Really appreciate that. Random walk. Yes, we did get 2 more. The Pets went 2-0 last week, and on this edition we've got Gold. My chicken called Goldie has done a prediction on the Manchester derby, and Jack's pet on the show has done a prediction on the West Ham game against
West Ham Tottenham.
So
that one's for Ray, especially for Ray.
Nice bit of fun actually. On the betting zoo there.
If they go 4-0, it's been nice knowing everyone. We'll see you all later. They're on a lot cheaper fees than we are.
We don't want them doing too well. Just talking about, I'll tell you a manager I got immediately involved in this year, and that was the Sevilla manager, Almeida, because I've seen so much of him before. And immediately I always think goals with him, chaos, things like that. And it's worked generally quite well so far. Really annoyed last time I was on the over. They beat Girona 2-0. It was 2-0 after 55 minutes, and there was no more goals, and the XG numbers were through the roof. So that was frustrating. But Sevilla generally, under Almeida, a team I'm looking for goals. Minus 125 favourites here, though, against newly promoted Elche side, who've started well. Actually, they've started well. Plus 235 is the tie. I mentioned they are one of 3 teams in LaLiga who didn't have a senior international call-up. Sevilla had 5, actually. And I'm just checking if they had an under-21s. No one in the under-21s. But, look, Sevilla, I'm a little bit. I mean, I don't think they're the sort of team you can ever really back on a money line in any match at the moment because they're too unpredictable. But in terms of the goal market, again, that's where I'd be looking at, Jack, or both teams to score, if I'm being honest here. What do you think?
Yep. Yeah. One of my favourite lines, when I'm betting either pre-match or certainly in play, is the over 1 Asian total. I love that line so much. You can have a real good bet on something where it's quite short odds for a goal to happen, for example. But obviously you get a push, so you're getting a free swing then at there being 2 or more. So we can get that here on the first half Asian total. Over 1 Asian total first half, plus 100 as well, plus money. I love. So we get 1 goal, we're safe, we've got our stake secured in the bank, and we get a free swing on there being another goal. These two last met in 2023, obviously because of the relegation, but in the promotion back. Those games saw 3 goals in the first half in this particular fixture, and then 2 in the reverse fixture, so both would have cashed. This season away, we've seen Sevilla trail 2-0 at half-time at Athletic Club, and we're winning 1-0 at Girona, so a win and a push there. And our only home game so far this season, which I quite like because it's against Getafe, was 1-1 at half-time, so we'd have got a full cash on that one as well. And Elche's only away game was at Atletico Madrid. Tough, and it was 1-1 at half-time. Full cash on that one as well. So all those things baked into it, I think to get over 1 Asian total is a lovely price here, plus 100. So I say it's a line. I'm playing it in play, say 70 odd minutes on the clock, and I get an over 1 Asian total. I love playing it. That's my favourite line to attack. And when I can attack it pre-match, as is the case here, and at plus money, and the stats back it up. We talk about, say, stats and eye test, and that both hit in this, so I'm happy to go in. Yeah, over 1 Asian total plus 100 first half.
I that is one of my favourite betting lines as well. Actually, Asian total over 1 first half. And sometimes, if I really think the first half is going to explode, I will actually. Sometimes it's usually quite a big price, even on games where the main goal line is high. Over 2.5 first half goals, and I'm just looking at see what price it is here. I'm not saying get on it here, but plus 650. You see where I'm coming from. I mean, I'm not sure whether this is going to be like
that much.
Yeah, but some matches where I think it's going to be a really fast start, I will do that. One of my favourite bets. This would be one of the better bets of the day, I think, for me. Over 2.25 Asian at minus 110, and I know both teams to score. Yes, there's quite a lot putting that in chat, and I do totally agree with it. I'm just a bit scarred by that 2-0 in the previous round, and you get that half loss if it does end 2-0 to someone here. But I do expect the game to go over. Not a massive over, maybe. Elche, I've not actually seen 90 minutes of Elche this season yet, so I need to assess them a bit more. I've seen all of Sevilla's games, and they're what I expect, really. Bit of chaos, mistakes, but they'll give it a good crack. 2 players that I do like are missing, I think, going to miss the game. Akor Adams and Chudi Ajuka. That's a real shame, and I'm hoping it's not going to be a trend for Sevilla this season, that injuries seem to be happening, and it could be to do with the training methods of this coach. Because he's so intense. So I hope that's not a trend.
I've got a stat here which I've just checked through. I don't think producer Troy has put it forward yet, but this screams of a producer Troy stat in Seville. So Sevilla's last 13 Friday night held fixtures. Do you know how many they've won?
Oh, I don't know. They've either won a lot or not won any.
Yeah, well, that's which way you got to go?
Which way you got to go? Friday night, they've been a good team for many years. I'll say they've won a lot.
In Sevilla, what a lovely GT3 has gone for 2. Higher or lower than 2? It's lower. 1 win.
1? In how many?
Win in the last 13 Friday held La Liga games. Drew 5, tied 5, lost 7.
That's crazy.
In the middle, Byron.
I mean, that surprises me. They obviously don't like playing on a Friday. I wouldn't back them at minus 125, Jack, here. I wouldn't. I wouldn't. In fact, no one's Elche actually plus half a goal probably would be the bet if you're going to take a side. But Sevilla is not the sort of team I ever really want to be betting sides too much. Robert Hagan, where is the Betting Weekly European edition? It's going to be released in 31 minutes' time. It's there. It's ready to go. And we've got to be off air before it gets released. So it's there. Don't you worry. I'm just looking through some of the comments here. Yeah, Bodo Glimt, I'm going to cover that game later on. I've got quite a decent bet in it. And there's so many comments, I can't get through them all. Random walk though, this one interests me. When a team is doing really badly, the manager is often first to go. It's like things are at rock bottom. So when a new boss comes in, even a small improvement feels massive. He's right there, actually. I think a lot of this is on the players. The tactical style should be similar to what Xabi Alonso had. Now it's up to the players to deliver it. That's the thing I would say. If I'm the new manager tonight, I'm saying, right, show us what you got. Show the fans what you've got. Forget what happened with the Ten Hag era, which was one of the shortest eras ever. Yeah. We're moving on. And that's the danger. If you are betting on Frankfurt today, Leverkusen could respond, but it might still be scrambled in the head. We don't know. Lots of questions, as you said.
Which mean you got to be careful with these ones. There's so many imponderables at the moment with everything we've talked about. Transfer window, international break, Champions League next week, Friday night, quick turnarounds. Like I said, there's so many. Like the Nottingham Forest game tomorrow is the early kickoff in the UK, which is always normally one traditionally to kind of keep your powder dry on a little bit. This one's on a Friday night, again, tough one after a quick turnaround. So much new managers all over the place. Yeah, it's interesting times. We'll see what we can do.
The money, by the way, for that particular game, 81% of it on Sevilla and 89% of the tickets, 91% of the over-under money is on the over. I do agree with that, and I think the over prices are generous. Like I said, you can watch this match live on the BetRivers app or website. Tons of streams today, live streams from, you can watch the Ipswich game, Bodo Glimt, you can watch Ligue 2, Poland games, Lithuania, World Series of Darts. There's too much to list. There's so many live streams on the app today.
Brilliant, isn't it?
So
Brilliant.
Get watching. You can place your bets in running as well. One more feature match to discuss. We've still got action in Denmark, Sweden, Portugal. Don't you worry. But Ipswich Town against Sheffield United headlines the Championship. This was a Premier League fixture, of course, wasn't it? Last season. Ipswich they've not exactly been. No, it wasn't. No, sorry, it wasn't. Sheffield United were Championship. I get mixed up. They're so yo-yo, aren't they? These teams.
Well, you may as well. Could be a League One fixture next year. Don't worry about it.
Well, Sheffield United have started really badly. Ipswich have not started as well as people thought. Would you back Ipswich at minus 136, Jack, here as a favourite on a Friday night after an international break?
No, I wouldn't. I, unfortunately for everyone here, I find this a really, really tough game to call. It should be quite straightforward because Sheffield United have started so badly, and also their underlying data would suggest that that's been a pretty fair reflection. Ipswich have started poorly, but they've been creating lots and lots of chances. So if you're going to go on the basis like the Brighton model where you go, well, they're creating loads of chances, it's going to come good for them, get on Ipswich. Minus 136 might be a bit of a stretch for you. You might want to take them on some kind of Asian handicap just to get a better price, because they could quite easily win this against a Sheffield United side that have they got whooped obviously on the opening game of the season. They lost 4-1, but since then it's only been 3 1-0 defeats. So that's kind of putting you off going too aggressive on Ipswich if you fancy them to win. But so you look at the expected goals for Ipswich over the last few games, and it's been high. They've generally won the battle, but lost the war. So they haven't really obviously won any games yet. They got a late equaliser against Derby last time out. It looked like they'd lost that one at home as well until I think it was 90 plus 16. One of your old boys, Jack Clark, stepped up with a penalty deep into added on time to salvage a point for them. And it's not been going well. And I said they've ripped out the heart of their kind of promotion side, who went back to back, of course, League One into the Championship, who were excellent in that Championship season. Started off okay in the Premier League and then just kind of succumbed to getting beaten every week. And it got a bit easier for teams in the end. But they've since, got rid of pretty much all bar 1 or 2 of that promotion side, which I think has caused a bit of conflict within the Ipswich fan base. Although when you look at who they've brought in, you would suggest there's some exciting talent there. It's whether a case they can adapt to it and get the mindset to the Championship. We've seen it before, that bringing young, exciting players that on paper or for other leagues have looked very tidy, they go into the rough and tumble of the Championship and they get swallowed up a little bit. So that'll be the interesting side there. For Sheffield United, the fact they kept Gus Hamer was incredible. That's huge.
How is that possible? I find that absolutely bonkers.
I'm stunned.
It's absolutely ridiculous. I think any Premier League club, bottom half, could get him as a starter.
Yeah.
Euro clubs as well. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
What is he can't feel great about being there still, surely.
Well, it's hard to tell, isn't it? Like, you could probably say the same thing about Josh Sargent at my club, because you'd expect them to be gone for what they're doing. Is it a bit of an injury situation? He's had a couple, but I'd say generally speaking that he's been phenomenal for them. He's a real match winner, isn't he? And he does everything. He gets stuck into tackles. He can pick a beautiful pass out, assist, and he'll smash one in from 25 yards as well. So a player that I love to watch. He's always in the game, and he's always keeping you excited as far as any of the bets that you got on for him, because he lives on the edge a lot. So great there. They've obviously picked up a couple of very experienced Premier League players as well. They were quite active at the end of the window. Ben Mee from Burnley, ex-Man City player as well, come in to try and shore up that defence. And Danny Ings they've brought in as well to go up front and have a bit of experience up the top there. So both got some very exciting players. This is where my conundrum lies, Steve, is that I expect this game to be open, frantic, full of chances, probably full of goals. When you know how these two sides play, Kieran McKenna and Ruben Sayas both play exactly the same kind of way. They want to be front foot. They leave in spaces behind. They attack and exploit. They're aggressive. They're front foot. They create loads of chances. But when two sides are struggling, the other part of me is going, well, they can't go and do that, especially against sides that have got the weapons to hurt them. Are they going to change that style a little bit, especially the away team, especially Sheffield United here? And if they were to get an early goal, are they just going to look to really try and keep it compact? And that's the conundrum I've got, and the one I can't wrestle with to say I really fancy any of those main lines. I could see this being a 1-0. I could see it being a 4-3. That's no help to anyone I know. Apologies.
But you do have an angle for the game, don't you?
I do have an angle.
Money line and goals. In fact, the ladder's coming out. I heard a rumour.
The ladder is coming out. I've borrowed it. I tapped on your window and I said, can I get in the shed? Can I borrow that ladder? That famous Steve Wyss ladder that didn't quite extend far enough in midweek. And it should have been going right to the roof. It only went to the first floor window. But you know what I mean? I know some
should have been going to the top of the skyscraper. It was that. Yeah.
It should have done. It should have done. You did a cherry picker. You didn't need a ladder. You did a cherry picker up there. So I'm going on something which has been a prolific angle of attack for me on Sheffield United this season. So they've lost the most matches in the Championship, 4 out of 4. They've only scored 1 goal, which is the worst in the Championship. But bizarrely, you could say, having that stats behind them, is they've won the most corner kicks, and by some distance. 4 matches so far, they've won 38 corners. And that's an average of 9.5. Now, the average across the league at this moment in time is just a fraction under 20 corners. So they're virtually double what the average is. And also, they've been super consistent. So sometimes you see averages, don't you? And you go, well, they got 23 in one game, 3 in another, and so on. They got 14 in their first game, which was at home to Bristol City. And then since then, they've hit 8, 8, and 8. I like that kind of consistency. Ipswich don't concede loads, but they still concede like 5, 6s. So I think when the line here is set at 4.5, that's got to be one for me to attack. So over 4.5 Sheffield United corners at -113. That's a lock for me. I've then got to work out how high I'm going to go. Now, if you're out there and you're thinking they can go and hit another 8, then you'll be getting plus 450 on that. And if they go one better, the highest line with Bet Rivers is over 8.5, and that's plus 700. We talk about this a lot. Game state could play a massive part here. If they do fall behind early, which is certainly a possibility, then this number could go quite high. But certainly for me, the over 4.5 is a lock at -113. And I think I would have a little bit of pizza money on up to 7.5, as they've hit it 3 times already in 4 games this season.
I like it. I like ladders like this with angles, and that's really interesting with the corner stats. I think some of it will be a case of game state. Like you said, they've been behind a lot. They've scored 1 goal, but there's a very good chance. Let's be honest. If we had a free $50 play on the money line, I think most of us would go Ipswich here to win. They were one of the big favourites to win this league pre-season. Actually, Opta gave Sheffield United the best chance of promotion. Do you remember seeing that come out of the woodwork before the first game? That's not looking very good, but there's a good chance they'll be chasing the game as well, the way they play. It's a big game for both. Ipswich winless too.
Huge. Huge game.
They've got
the thing, Steve, with this is, like we talked about it there, is that Ipswich won't sit back. So if Ipswich go 2-0 up in 15 minutes, they'll still flood forward. They'll still attack. and they will leave space in behind. And the same thing, like if Sheffield United get in front, then Ipswich will come at them. So there will still be those chances that, with the players that Sheffield United have got and the style that, generally speaking, that Ruben Sayas plays, he will want to move on. He'll want to push forward with them. And you've got the likes of Hamer we talked about. There's 2 or 3 players on that side who like a strike from distance, which is another factor for winning corners, because it will take a nick off someone, or the keeper will tip it over the bar and so on. So, yeah, there's lots to like, and obviously the stats back it up there.
Despite Sheffield United's plight, I am still a bit surprised that 91% of the money and 95% of the tickets are on Ipswich. 87% of the over-under money is on the under, which is interesting. Probably based, Sheffield United scoring 1 goal, that could be a factor for that.
Last 3, 1-0, 1-0, 1-0. As I said, my thoughts on how, if I'm in a struggling position, like anyone who saw the footage on social media, Ruben Sayas was getting absolutely vilified by his support in that last away game, Middlesbrough away. He went over, fair play to him, he went over to the supporters and he stood there and he was effectively saying, have a go at me, don't have a go at the players, come at me. And they took his invite up and they were giving him absolute hell, real hell. And the players kind of were a bit sheepishly behind him. And that was either thanks, boss, for stepping forward, or there are people who have said they don't look like they've got his back at all. So again, we'll see that here. But I say his initial response in football is to push forward, high press, aggressive, leave space in behind. That could be disastrous tonight. And when he's under backs to the wall, I'm just wondering if he is going to be a little bit more pragmatic than he would be normally.
Yeah, it'd be interesting. There's a lot saying he has no excuses now after the transfer business that they've done. Yeah. They did have a good finish to the window, in fairness, and they needed it. Let's see how this one goes tonight. Jack's getting involved with the corners. The ladder's out. Let's hope we can climb it pretty well. Just want to give a shout out in the comments to Brad Betts Footy. He's put some great stats in the chat, as he often does. Sevilla, 1 out of 13 home wins. That's why I wouldn't back him at -125 tonight. And 10 out of 13 of those Sevilla games, both teams score yes. That Sevilla Elche, both teams score yes, is proving a really popular pick. Ipswich have conceded 22 straight games as well, says Brad Betts Footy. And this is the problem when you come down. You just keep your bad habits sometimes, don't you?
Yeah.
It's a real problem. Okay, we're going to move on. We've got some other matches today in different leagues that we're going to talk about. I'll start us off here. Bodo Glimt, Champions League club, of course, making their Champions League phase debut next week. Yeah, in Prague, which is going to be really interesting. They've got a real fight on their hands domestically, though, to win the league. There's a very good chance, actually, if they win the Elite Series this season, 10 matches left, then they will qualify automatically for the UCL next season, depending on how Olympiacos do. But they're level on points with a team called Viking right now, and I think they're going to have a battle on their hands, actually, to win this league. They can't be slipping up against Kristiansund, but Bodo Glimt have a huge injury crisis at the moment, and to be honest, it's so bad, I could see myself betting against them, sadly. Even against Slavia Prague in midweek, which is, I don't like to be doing that sort of thing, but they're missing some players, just some names here. The big one is the striker, Kasper Ho, who everyone's seen him do really well, Europa League, Champions League, domestically the top scorer in the league. I think he's out for at least 2 more weeks, if not certainly 1 more week. That's a massive loss, but they've got injuries to Björkan at the back, and the captain Ulrich Saltnes is ill. So this is a great chance for Kristiansund here. On the back of an international break as well. They're looking ahead to the Champions League. The handicap for Kristiansund is +2.5. +2.5 for KBK here. They're 14-1 to win. I'm actually going to go down to the +2 Asian handicap here at +120, +128, because I'm never going to stake massively against Bodo Glimt, Jack. It's not in my interest, especially at home. But this looks a good spot to bet against them. It's sad to say it. Kristiansund should give some sort of a creditable account of themselves. It's still going to be a good Bodo Glimt 11, but I mean, the goal line's through the roof. Over 4 Asian goals is -122 with Bet Rivers. 4.25 goals over 4.25 is +102.
Wow.
I'm not touching that because it could be a sort of game where Kristiansund score a couple of goals, actually, and you get like Bodo winning 3-2.
Yeah,
but that's a mental goal line. I mean, it's the sort of goal line you see in, well, international soccer, rather than club
Yeah.
soccer. It's certainly in the
Yeah.
top league. So for me, Kristiansund would be one of my better bets of the day. I'll decide what the best bet is at the end of the show. But be wary of Bodo Glimt today. They're not a bank. I mean, what are they? Minus 770. Don't add them to a parlay. They might win, but don't give yourself the stress just in case. They'll win like 6-0 now, won't they? But I just wouldn't want someone to lose for the sake of a minus 770.
Do you know what, Steve? You touched on something there, which I think again is another really good point to make. Is that you've got sides like this where it's plus or minus 700 or whatever, and you say don't do this and don't do that, and then they do win 5 or 6-0. You were still right to say that for the reasons you're now given. You've given the perfect justification and reason why you wouldn't want to bet it. And we talk about this a lot. Sometimes when you say things that doesn't necessarily come in, doesn't mean you were wrong to think that. And would you do that again? Like, I mean, so next time you say that, or next time they played in a similar circumstance, you would say that, and they do win 1-0 or draw, that would be proven correct. So I think you've made absolutely complete valid points why not to do that, given what's coming up. And you think obviously they're going to have that half an eye on a huge occasion for them next week.
Yeah, Kasper Ho is injured. That's another reason why I think the goal line just looks a little bit high. I think it'll be Helmerson will start, so he could be an anytime scorer. You could back him anytime. You can't. Bet Rivers are not offering up right now. Or Mikkel Bro Hansen, the 16-year-old wonder kid, might get a start for them. Watch out for him. But Kristiansund, the previous meeting actually ended 1-1 draw. Glimt should have won it easily, but they conceded a last-minute equaliser. Brad Betts has come up with the last 3 head-to-heads at this venue have been comfortable Bodo wins. And if this was played in the middle of June, they would rack up the score and probably win very, very comfortably. It's just a situational spot, injuries, where I've got to probably be against them. But anyway, Jack, you've got a couple more plays here, including your best bet of the day, actually. But we'll finish with your best bet of the day. We'll go to Denmark here. SonderjyskE against Randers. Talk us through this one.
Thank you. That saved me having to try and struggle my way through SonderjyskE. That's lovely. Good. Now I know how to say it. Won their last 2 games away at Silkeborg last time out, and their last home game, which was against Brøndby. Won both those 2-0. And I just looked at the price here, at plus 117, and I'm like, that looks a really good price for a side that are in decent form up against a side bang out of form. And sometimes you just look at it and say the stats add up. And this is one where we talked about, say, obviously on the Betting Zoo yesterday, we talked about, do you use your eyes? Do you use your knowledge? Do you use your models? Do you use your stats? And this one is just one for me that, because I've not got that in-depth knowledge of Denmark, I'm going with stats, doing a bit of research, see if there's anything major that I'm missing out on that doesn't appear to be. And going with where I think the value lies, I would have them at probably shade of minus money, not plus 117. So they're strong at home. They drew their opening match against Aarhus this season, but then beat FC Nordsjælland before that win over Brøndby. So they've won both their last 2 at home against decent opposition. And you look at Randers, who made a strong start to the season, but have kind of unravelled in their last few games. Terror runner form. They've lost 4 games on the spin. The last 2 away as well, and both those games were against newly promoted sides. So that's something else that I would look at there going, hang on, they've lost to Odense and they lost to Fredericia, and I'm thinking both those sides are newly promoted. So, and they've managed to go there and lose, not even as a one-off. They've lost to both those sides, and they got absolutely hammered in their last fixture, albeit against Copenhagen, and that was at home. But they lost 5-1. That's not even a close call there, is it? And SonderjyskE had an extra game. They played in the cup. Potential banana skin, we could call it, if I'm going to trot the cliches out. But they went to Sonder and they won. They went to Ratcliffe and they won 10-0. So you can't argue with that. As we know, anyone scoring double figures is like a friend of ours. So all the things add up there. For me, I don't know if you've got anything that you're going to push against it, but I've got to take that plus 117.
I've got nothing to add on the match, but I've got. I want to give a word of thanks to Daniel, who messaged me. The last few times I pronounced SonderjyskE, I got it wrong. I used to say SonderjyskE, and he correct. So I've been practicing it all day. I was practicing it in the sauna today, and I think someone was about to walk in and they wondered what the hell I was on about. But anyway, SonderjyskE. I might probably still get it wrong, but better than last time.
Let us know, Daniel.
But home win there, Jack. And then final game, Portugal, Premier League. there's been quite a few requests for us to cover this league more when we got the chance. So here we go. Benfica against Santa Clara, -315 for Benfica. Santa Clara plus 900 from the Azores Islands, I think they are, aren't they? Over 2.5 goals at plus 106. What do you think, Jack?
Yeah, that's what I'm going for. It's drifted from minus money to plus 106. Again, it's what I've got to take on. I messaged you this morning. I said, what am I missing here, Steve? Look at the stats. I'm looking at the two teams. And I did say, what I'm now going to do is I'm going to throw it to the floor. Everyone in the comments, we tend to get quite a few Portuguese League fans in the comments. What am I missing about this over 2.5 goals line here in Benfica versus Santa Clara? Benfica, obviously one of the strongest sides in Portugal. They've won their opening 3 fixtures of the season. The last 7 meetings at Benfica, this bet has cashed against Santa Clara. Last season and the one game this season, Benfica's home games have averaged 3.72 goals per game. The over 2.5 goal line has hit in 10 of their last 11 home league games and in 15 of those 18 in total. The Clara stats aren't so strong, but so we've got to assume that Benfica are going to do the heavy lifting here. And when they went to Benfica last season, they got beat 4-1. Quick turnaround from internationals is the only thing I think might possibly be a contributing factor. Pavlidis, etc. That I said we talked about this turnaround, but I think over 2.5 is not a massive stretch for a side like Benfica. And I think at plus money, I was stumped to work out where that price is coming from. We always say when you look at it, it's too good to be true. Is it the case? Is it a trap? I'm going to pay to find out with my best bet of the day. Over 2.5 goals. Benfica versus Santa Clara plus 106.
It might be a case that Christmas has come early for you here in the Santa Clara game.
Yes.
And
extra nut roast.
Yeah, you can. I mean, this is an interesting one. Producer Troy sent me this one through. Over 2.5 goals market has hit in 10 of Benfica's last 11 Primeira Liga home matches. So there is a strong home trend for goals here. It's a long trip, isn't it, for Santa Clara as well? Well, I say long trip for domestic levels. It is having to go from where they come from in the mid-Atlantic there. And, no surprise, 97% of the money's on Benfica. 94% of that money is on the over, Jack. So the overs money agrees with you here. It looks a big price, a plus money, certainly, because they're a team that can cover it all on their own quite substantially. They are a very, very classy outfit. So that's your best bet of the day. My best bet of the day. Yours? It's a tough choice, actually. The 3 that I'm going with on is Marseille minus 1.25 Asian. Sevilla against Elche over 2.25 goals Asian. And then in the Norway game, Kristiansund plus 2 Asian. I don't think I could quite stomach a best bet against Bodo Glimt. So the best bet's got to be the Sevilla game for me over 2.25 goals. But pretty close between 3 pretty strong plays from me, actually, on the day. Reminders of that corners bet, which was the match.
Yes. Yeah, Sheffield United at Ipswich, and we're going for over 4.5 Sheffield United corners at minus 113. And then obviously you can ladder up from there as you so desire. But the main bet for me there is over 4.5 Sheffield United corners minus 113, something they've hit in every game so far this season.
Well, that concludes Betting Weekly Live for this week. Loads of shows to promote now. Starting with the Betting Zoo again. That is on the channel. Me and you. Great content that.
Yep.
Give that a good go. We've got Betting Weekly Hardball coming up at 2 p.m. Eastern with Adam the Bull. And then we've got the Fast Break Show with Doug Kazarian. And, of course, the new show, Betting Weekly The Edge. NFL is going to be at 5 p.m. Eastern. Doug, Dustin, and Adam the Bull. What a lineup that is. So do check out their best place for the NFL. And then tomorrow, Betting Weekly Live Saturday, 9 a.m.
Who's
Eastern
on that
time.
show?
Simon Holden is going to be joining me, and you are going to be on again.
Oh,
yeah.
I'll have to again.
We're going to be giving you the sort of the latest team news, the market trends and stuff like that, any extras. Going to be a same game parlay as well between the 3 of us on the Spurs match. So, gosh, so much going on. Of course, Betting Weekly Extra Time gets released at in just 5 minutes' time, and Betting Weekly Fight Live as well. That is on with the Carl Andrew and Paul Hughes. So
we need more content. It's just not enough.
The content doesn't stop. Please do subscribe to the channel if you are new. Likes as well are very much appreciated. Thanks to everyone who watched live or on demand on whatever format you watched here on X, on Twitch, Facebook, or YouTube. And have a great betting weekend starting today. And Jack, look forward to more content with you tomorrow. Take care. And
come and join us tomorrow.
See you tomorrow, everyone. Best of luck. Remember to gamble responsibly. And I'll see you next time on Betting With You Live.